world away. And that's kind of what I resent, like in the JQ spaces, they go overboard because they make it about like this racial thing, and there's a racial component, of course, but it's so much more than that. There's this great evil that's been perpetrated for a very long time, 1,000 years, will bring about the end. Because after about 1,000, you just get to the point where if there is a God, he's gonna intervene. he's gonna step in. It's gonna go bad.
I think it's gonna happen a lot sooner, and I don't think the average Jew is in on it. That's where I draw my line, because it's like, how could you? I think there's an elite number of people in Israel who might be in on something nefarious. You know, obviously people in Mossad, stuff like that, senior level military officers, senior cabinet members. But when you apply this whole hatred to every...
that becomes problematic. I mean, I get it where that Otter, what's his name, Otter comes in here, and he's
Jimmy.
an IDF member.
Jimmy
the Otter, yeah. And he's like actually over in Gaza trying to kill innocent people. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely part of it. If that's true, if he's not trolling.
He's just trolling.
But, yeah, it's like the average Jew probably isn't in on it, not just, you know, so it's like, how can you hate those people?
Yeah, that's what I was saying, right? This is written down in the protocols for the audience. There's a book called The Protocols of the Elders of Zion, and it details this in that book, essentially. So even if I would argue most Jews are in on some nefarious business, because just the egotism of being the chosen ones, they would happily participate and are complacent. But I agree in the sense that most of them are not the elite. Most of them definitely aren't the puppet masters for sure. And they are being used as a human shield to, you know, take on the arrows of the world. Like, many Jews are arrogant. Most of them are very arrogant because, you know, they believe they're chosen and they're being used for nefarious purposes in that sense, right? But they certainly aren't Rothschilds, you know? And
yes,
there are Rothschilds. So many other families other than the Rothschilds as well that people just don't know about. So.
Yeah, and another point, getting back to this,
someone like Peter Thiel.
That's true. And JD Vance is part of that.
You mean because JD Vance works at Peter Thiel's hedge fund?
Because they're all, him, Vivek, all of them are known each other probably for quite a while.
Yeah, see, they're trying to form their own little, like, elite group. That's the problem. They get all these little, like, it's like high school, you know, you get all their little cliques. They're all, like, elite little cliques with their own little power base. But getting back just a little bit, to back up to SpaceX, and the reason why some countries don't want it is because the DIA operates the satellite system where they can actually, they can actually shoot missiles from satellites basically into any country at this point. So if they have those base stations in the country, it just makes it easier to basically do any sort of military strike at a moment's notice from the United States into that country within, you know, like 10 minutes.
Well, the Indians, they just go along with anything.
That's actually more accurate.
Yeah, that is true. And that's why I think that Armageddon is so close, because we have such this technical hyper-scaling with, like, missiles in orbit ready to take us out at any moment. We have brain chips ready to be implanted in us. We have a new money system, which is the main prophecy that Jesus told us about, which is this money thing and something that was going to be stamped on us. So, and it's so close. And then we have wars and rumors of wars, and we have earthquakes, we have all of that. So that's why I think in our lifetimes it will happen. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It doesn't really matter if I'm wrong. Everybody, there's been a lot of crazy preachers who have said this, right? But we've never had this kind of technical situation that we have right now.
I think we're gonna break more physics first. I think the Antichrist is gonna step in a little bit later. I think things have to develop first. A little bit more material science has to develop. We'll probably have to get to a type 3 civilization. So I don't know. I know it's controversial, but I still think it's going to take about 250 to 300 years, at least. But it will happen.
If you're right, well, you may very well be right, but I think God's going to step in before we even try to get to another planet. Because I don't think that God wants us to go to Mars. I don't think he wants us to discover these other areas. I think that's the whole idea of like dying, going to heaven, getting a ticket into heaven. So, but I mean, that's just my own little personal opinion. Who knows, really? You know, of course. But
Yeah, we're not going to any other planet.
Well, it's like, do you want to be your own Lucifer? Right? Do you want to be your God? Do you want to try and, because it's controversial or not, like that is actually, like, if you look at the philosophy of Lucifer, and Lucifer was an angel, and this is what he believed. 100%, you can put your thumbs down, this is true. I'll happily debate this with you. Yeah, if you want to debate this, Zero, we can debate this. Or not, or I can continue. Anyway, essentially, the Luciferianism is really behind it. So if you look at like individualism, right, and the technocracy and like transhumanism, that is what Luciferianism is. You're saying like, you know better than the creator, right? You have the ability to edit yourself. You have the ability to be your own creator. So God's like, okay, like, fine. Like, you decide to take that into your own hands, then so be it. You don't have to return to the hands that created you, you know? And you can now create your own mess for eternity. But yeah, it's transhumanism, super slippery slope. So I think that's why we're going to see a lot of, next 300 years. Longevity is a huge thing of that, because age is going to stop. Like 200 years from now, people aren't going to be aging the same way that they are now, for sure. Just epigenetics, you'll have complete endochromatic control, pretty much, because you'll have the ability to compute for it.
I don't think God will ever allow that either. That's just, again, my own personal opinion, but that's like, like a power that God wants to reserve for himself and not us. That's just, again, because, like, why would God want us to allow us to live forever? Because that would take away from, like, the limitation of the lessons we need to learn in life, Because if we're constantly relearning and learning and learning, it just doesn't make sense for our spiritual enlightenment. Zero, you had something to say?
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that you keep whatever you keep in your heart while you question his motives, because every story I've ever read in the Bible of people who question Jesus or God really seriously.
Wasn't even where I became a speaker. Apologies.
Sorry? I thought you said me. I'm sorry.
Dude, you're good. It's both y'all. It's all good. let's see.
Well, while I'm here, sorry. I do love to chime in on God.
I'm sorry.
all right.
I'm sorry.
No, I don't think that we're going to be traveling to any other planets. There's just way too much evidence that we never went to the moon. I put it in the back channel. I can post it here, but I'm sure many of you have seen. I think it's Walter Cronkite that hosts reports on our landing of the moon, and it's the most ridiculous thing of a guy hanging from a string you've ever seen. Let me post it in here. You guys can take a look at it.
Shift E, left grip. Yeah, I agree. I don't think we did. I know that's like heresy. It's like, oh, we didn't go to the moon, but it's like, dude, physics is a little more complicated than just you can go up into the atmosphere, zero gravity, and not have to worry about shit. It's like the suits alone. I mean, ventilation. Sorry, MIT engineers. I don't believe they engineered the ability to do that. And Richard Nixon's phone call to the Apollo, just a bunch of fucking bullshit, in my opinion. But could be wrong.
Whether we went to the moon or not, I think is kind of irrelevant when we're talking about Mars, because Mars takes like a year to get there, 3 years, something like that. I don't even know. I just don't think we're ever going to be able to get to a point where God will allow it to happen. I think we'll have the technology to be able to do it. I just don't think God would allow it for whatever reason. When I pray about it, that's what I think. But Harrison, you remind me so much of a friend that I used to have named Jeff Lamont. He was the son of I'm suddenly forgetting his dad's first name. The Greg Lamont, who won the Tour de France. You literally are like, your voice is a doppelganger for Jeff Lamont. And his dad was pretty wealthy because he won the Tour de France. And Jeff was like super into technology, and he kind of became, or he started talking to Max Levchin. Max Levchin was like part of the PayPal mafia with Peter Thiel and Elon Musk. And Levchin was like the main programmer for PayPal in its early days. It was actually X, by the way. X.com. So this platform. But they turned it into PayPal. I think Coin Infinity first and then PayPal. But so Max Levchin is like a Ukrainian Jew, but he liked to bike. So Jeff got him a carbon fiber bike from Lamont Bikes and gave it over to him. But it was always interesting. And anyways, so you're like his clone. I don't know what you really look like, but your voice is, at least.
Oh no, yeah, dude. I'll get you out when I run a successful robotics company. I'll get you out to Palo Alto or something. But
it's so amazing out there, and it is true that like the Jeets have taken it over, because every time I go out there, there's more Jeets.
Dude,
it's such a beautiful little town too.
It's true. No, it literally to Palo Alto. Yeah, like it is, and I go to actually, without doxing myself, let's just say in the Bay Area, right, in the very close vicinity, there's a hacker, and I guess I could still be doxing myself wrong. There's like a hacker co-working space, kind of like a WeWork.
Better not dox yourself,
Yeah.
otherwise somebody will show up on your ass in the Bay Area.
That's true. That's true. No, that is true. It's fine. I'm not gonna live through a prisoner. But
Why is Mighty someone you don't want to run into or something?
Mighty?
No,
No.
he's just very boisterous and wild.
Yeah, he is, and he'll come down from San Francisco. I don't know why he's still in San Francisco, bro. That's the most, like, I mean, and General can confirm this. Like, out of all the fucking places, really, you're gonna be in this shithole. Come down to the peninsula. Like, why would you? It's third world, okay? Oakland is Haiti, all right. The peninsula is very really is. You're right. It's like Old Town Germany. You go across the bay, it's like a fucking rural German town. You know, it's like it's completely fucking different. And so it's like Mighty just needs to get the fuck out of San Francisco, but to land this fucking plane. No, the Jeets have completely taken over. I go to a hacker co-working space in the peninsula near Google, near NASA. And gosh, I mean, there's just so many fucking Jeets. Holy shit, like they're fucking every, and this is a plan. They out Mexican the Mexicans. That's what I like to say. Anyway, I'll land it there.
Yeah, they really.
I don't know how, like, I don't understand how the Mexicans put up with that, to be honest with you. The Mexicans pushed the blacks out of California. And then now they're just sitting there and allowing these Jeet Indians to just take over California. It's so strange to me that the Mexicans allow that to happen. Unless they view Jeets as Mexican because they're all brown. I don't know.
I think it's a territorial thing. So, fun fact, I grew up in a place called East Palo Alto, near Palo Alto, and it's all Michoacanian Mexicans. I was the only white kid on my block. And let me tell you, it was very fucking rough. And I can say from growing up, like I went to school with white people, like rich white people, because I went to school in Palo Alto, but I lived in the hood, right? Because it was cheaper. And my water came out gray, black mold, right? You know the deal. But anyway, the fucking Mexicans, they operate off of a territory differently. So like when they have that territory secured, they don't populate like Indians do, right? They secure this, like, think about their mestizo blood, right? Think about their biology. As long as they have their like compound, they're kind of fine. They don't expand past that. And then they just warlord and kill one another instead of like, you know, trying to populate an infrastructure, right? They're very like territorial, you know, almost dogs. So,
Here's all like dogs.
Hey, good morning, Harrison.
good morning.
Good morning, everybody. San Francisco has a poop app. You can track human shit. They also have, like, yes.
That's true.
San Francisco is like one of the worst places in the world, and it was so funny to see Gavin Newsom clean it up for China.
That was the best fucking thing. And remember Ron DeSantis, when Ron DeSantis brought up the poop app during that fucking debate? That was the funniest shit. Like,
Yeah, not to mention all the needles on the ground and the legalized drug use, drug dens.
You should go to Tenderloin.
yes.
It's bad. And you guys were talking about space earlier. I was getting ready for work. Did you ever get a chance to go down to, like, just fly into DC or whatever? Go flying at Dulles, and then from Dulles go to the Udvar Hazy Center. It's the other Air and Space Museum that actually has all of those landers and stuff in it. It actually has a whole space shuttle too, and the SR-71 Blackbird. It even has the skunk painted on the back. From Skunk Works. Dude, the tinfoil, little tiny aluminum legs. Like, there's no way that thing went to space.
No.
And you can go in. You can go in one of them too.
They didn't. they didn't pass the Van Allen belt, okay? Like,
They never left lower Earth orbit.
I'll tell you what, even if they motherfucking did, let me grant them the most that I can possibly grant them in this hypothetical. They still nowhere, they wouldn't have the material science to pass that level of radiation. You can't get that close to the
They
sun. I'm
don't.
sorry.
They never did.
Like, it's just, this is,
I,
yeah.
So, the guy who was our coach growing up, his daughter worked for NASA, and it was her job to work on these tiles that go on the front of the spaceship so that they could actually get through without it burning up. And
The shuttle.
what he said was, yeah, the shuttle. And he said they can't figure it out. They can't keep the tiles on the shuttle. That they fall off, they burn up. It's just impossible to keep them on the shuttle. Like they never went to space before that. It was a big ass lie, and they still can't figure it out to this day. They can't get any material that will actually go through there and withstand that going out. I mean, even going out, coming back in is gonna be just as much of a problem. They can't do that. So whenever Elon Musk says we went here, it's all bullshit. His whole thing, why he keeps selling everybody on this idea we're gonna go to Mars, it's because he needs the government funding to keep sending all these Starlinks up into orbit so that they can have this network up there. That's what it's really all about. It's not about going to Mars. It's about getting all the Starlink up there. That's his real goal.
I totally agree with that.
And he just sold everybody on we're going to Mars, when really no, he's just sending out Starlink, his network up there, so that we can have internet across the world, and he can control the internet. That's literally all it is. We're never going to Mars. We're never ever going.
Well, even if we could, I mean, it's gonna take a while. And Frank, I see your hand up. We'll get to you, but really quickly, like, Twiddle, you mentioned the aluminum legs. Let me tell you what, like, as far as material science, you know, like carbon fiber and shit like that, like, the material science, the level of development you would need to pass the Van Allen belt and like have a suit that's capable of, or just even a ship that's capable of withstanding radiation like that, is insane. Like, you would need to develop from now the next 300 years probably, or like maybe that's a little bit much, maybe 100 years from now, with like lots of computing power, testing tons of things at CERN, making tons of new elements. You would have to go through this incredibly long, arduous process to even remotely come close to stopping such power getting closer to the sun like that, especially space. It's just it's not there. Yeah. So AI could do it.
This is fascinating. This is the kind of stuff we should start talking about on the General Show of General Launch. But yeah,
It's got the news though.
yeah, it's true.
But they do lie. We can definitely spot how they lie in modernity as far as like, we're gonna go to Mars. I mean, Trump's never gonna go to Mars. We're not gonna go to fucking Mars. Frank, good to see you, man.
Hey, good morning. Morning. Yeah, Drew has had some spaces sometimes on the weekend where he does the conspiracy stuff. He's fun to chime in with. Yeah, that's all Van Allen. I mean, even the photos of the rover on Mars, I'm like, yeah, that's probably Nevada. You know, we've just been lied to our whole lives. Like General said, I think this is all for Starlink. And then, also talking about the Mexicans, you know, I've lived around them quite a bit in California, almost said California. And they are similar to like Indians, where they kind of just they tend to not, like when the whole world went woke, they were just like, okay, still have to cut the grass. Like they're not, they just are not in tune to anything that's happening around them, you know? They stick to themselves, they do their own thing, they have the quinceañeras and their bandas that come over to play, and they just are not aware, you know, so it would have to get really bad before they would stand up. Now there are politicians who are you know, pushing their narrative, but it's very
Fucking
anti-American. Yeah.
Fucking
So-
Connor.
Might be a few seconds while they're switching over from. I think AR had a. Hold on, let me turn my video on. Probably can't see me anyway. I'm driving. AR had a space that he ran all night, and we're switching to the General and Rush's morning show. This is more of a news podcast
Hey everybody, good morning, Rush.
type thing.
Good morning, Overwatch. Try to grab that mic one more time. I don't know why it didn't work. Good morning, Dead, Ivy, Brock, Zero, DEI, Warmonger, Kane, Dusty, 11 Bravo. Good morning, everybody. Katie, Mark, David, good morning. Jake and Bake in the house. Every morning, this man doesn't sleep. Good morning, Decoy. How are you doing, Rush? Good morning.
I was having a little trouble getting audio, so I bounced at one time, but hopefully it'll be stable now.
Yeah, it took me a second to actually connect and get this thing working, so hopefully we can run it today without much problem.
I'm excited to go into corporate this morning and see what's screwed up with Azure. Also learned that a lot of our military authentication and stuff uses the Azure networks too, so we'll see what's going on with this fiber cut.
Yeah, give me just 1 second. I gotta try to go out and come back in. This isn't coming through my speakers properly. Rush, if you're there, jump on in. I don't know if you can even connect or not either. I'm gonna recycle real quick. Just give me 30 seconds to pop out and pop back in, so I can hopefully fix this issue for myself.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Apologies about that. I was a little bit incapacitated. But man, that was a great show yesterday. It was a marathon show that went on. I don't know if anyone caught it. My DMs were full from or my requested DMs are full from all the angry black women messaging me. It's funny. They'll do like entire skits dedicated to me in general, or entire like little presentations. It's pretty funny, but yeah, it's been a while to have that FDA debate, so it's always entertaining to refresh it. I mean, it kind of happened at a pivotal time at the right after the stabbing of that poor Ukrainian woman in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it's funny, the black community really don't want to take any accountability for it. There's also another GoFundMe going for the murderer. And I think the latest news on that North Carolina stabbing is that the black female judge that had released this guy, 16 times prior to him stabbing the woman in the neck, that judge owned a rehabilitation clinic that she would send prisoners to. And she supposedly sent this guy to the rehabilitation clinic that she owned. I mean, government corruption at its finest. I mean, it's not only the incompetency of these, 68% of black females that work for the government. It's just basic. The basic enriching themselves that we see all across the government, unfortunately.
Yeah, I didn't know if you heard or not, but General said he was going to cycle. He needed 30 seconds or so.
I did. I was trying to fill up the dead air.
Yeah, I wonder how many judges in general are running similar kind of side gigs like that, all across the United States. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not prevalent.
I don't know who said it, and if anyone has the quote, I can go Google it real quick. But absolute power corrupts, and it corrupts absolutely. I butchered the quote, but I mean, any government agency, you see it at the Congress level, them doing the insider trading. You see at the state level, them hiring their wives' business to run things, and they do their brothers, their family. Saw that with Joe Biden, and you see at the judicial level. This isn't the first judge to do these types of things. There was that he presided over juvenile court cases, a judge, and he sent all these kids to juvenile detention for such a long period of time, and random cases that made no sense. And come to find out, that judge had private equity in the private prison that he was sending all these kids to. I mean, it's pretty insane, the amount of corruption our government has openly, and good citizens are still standing. But yeah, it looks like we had Kane and Harrison come up, jump on in there, Kane.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Good to see y'all. Did you guys hear about this judge in Maryland that it released the illegal that killed that 19-year-old girl? I'm about tired of this, and I'm heated. I'm not happy. I'm gonna let it go there.
Was he an illegal or an FBI?
That judge is also connected to one of these detention centers for kids too. She sits on the board or something like that.
Oh, what a coincidence. I'm sure it's just a coincidence. Of course.
They all are. All these judges are connected with either the prisons or the detention facilities or these juvenile facilities. They're all these judges are connected to this. And they make up the money by putting these people into these facilities or letting them go. I mean, this Harmeet Dillon, where the CRS, Harmeet Dillon, that this is a civil rights issue where the black guy can run around and just murder white people and then get a slap on the wrist. He had 14 other convictions.
Well, and at least in California, you know how much they make off of having one detainee in like the county system, county jail, something like annually. I don't even know if it's annually. I think it's annually. It's like $250,000 at least. It might even be upwards of that, like 400. It's insane. So I don't know. You know, there's a lot of motives, I would say, at play, but certainly this is some shifty business.
They're literally asking for a race war. Yeah, go ahead and watch.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most prophetic things in the Bible is that the love of money is the root of all evil. It's not money. Money's just a tool. It's the love of money, and these people love that money. And it's always the money. Well,
the part is they found a way, or they developed a way to profit off of every single thing that destroys our society. And that's the problem. Like, they couldn't figure out how to make a way to make money off of, like, doing things proper. They had to find a way to make money off of the destruction of our society. They didn't find a way to make money that would benefit the society. They found a way that would destroy society while they got rich doing it.
That's awesome. That would be a great post. That's yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, what's the solution to this, though? Yeah, exactly. I don't think we're going to be able to vote our way out of this as long as we don't have term limits or some kind of executive level control over these officials. I mean, this is just going to continue to happen in our society. I'll never forget that clip of Putin, and he's at this meeting with all these Russian executives, and apparently one of the executives was embezzling from the power company or something, and the way Putin made him come and sign this document that closed off that way of embezzling, you could tell the guy was terrified for his life. He wasn't ever going to do that again. And it was public shaming kind of thing. I mean, it was pretty powerful. I mean, not to throw glaze at Putin, but I mean, you need to have that authoritarian power. And I just don't think our system of government allows for it. But I mean, Russia is one of the most corrupt countries ever. I mean, they're just full of oligarchs. So is China. So is, pretty much every other country is just full of corruption, and America is just as bad as all of them. But I apologize, guys, for going on.
We saw it. I mean, now, everyone thinks you're going to vote your way out of this when the opposite team is willing to assassinate anyone who doesn't do what they want. That's how they got their way in Mexico. That's how they get, how do you think Putin keeps getting reelected? He keeps assassinating all his political opponents. We talked about this before, and now they're doing the same thing with the AFD party. And I said this in another space, but I'll say it here again. The people who sit at the top of the pile that are the controllers are the bankers. They are the world bankers. They are the ones that are sitting at the top of the pile, directing all this shit. They have their hands in Mossad, and the CIA, and MI6, all the intelligence agencies. They have their hands in Israel, Russia. I mean, there's 2 million Russians that live in Israel. Putin has a big sway and control over Mossad. And they're all over America. He has a big sway and control over AIPAC. Putin. 2 million Russians live in Israel. He has a big amount of power in Israel, and also through AIPAC into the United States. So, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that people don't really talk about. They just always want to say, Jew. Okay, well, the Jews didn't just get power on their own. Somebody backed them. They didn't just walk in one day and say, hey, we're going to buy everything up. We have mounds of cash. It comes from somewhere, and it comes from the international bankers. They are the ones who are at the top of the pile. That's why when Trump went at Jerome Powell, they freaked out. And then when he fired the governor of the Federal Reserve, they shit bricks and said, This is the end of democracy. Okay, let it be the end of democracy then. Dump all the banks, crash them. Let it be the end of democracy if you think that's what democracy is. Because obviously they don't think that's what democracy is. They're willing to assassinate 11 of the AfD party members in Germany. And they're willing to assassinate this lady, this politician over in Minnesota. They're willing to assassinate 38 politicians in Mexico to get Steinbaum in there. That's what our enemy is willing to do, guys. That's how far they're willing to go. They're willing to assassinate people to have control. Violence. So when they sit there and say, how are we going to vote our way out of it? You can't vote your way out of a system where the bankers have a gun to the back of the head of every single politician. The only way that you can take back control of that is if your gun is bigger than their gun. If the politicians fear you more than they fear this international banking cartel with a gun to their head, that's the only way. That's the only way. They're willing to assassinate people, and they're doing it now on a massive scale, and they're doing it in the West. They used to not do it so brazenly in the West, but now they don't care. Their backs to the wall. Trump has them pinned up against the wall, and they got nowhere to go. Overwatch, go ahead.
Yeah, well, in this country, we have the guy stabbing the Ukrainian girl on the train. I mean, it's on camera. There's no debate. But, our justice system is so jacked up here that, that guy will get all the little loopholes, all the, trials and excuses and the stuff afforded to our justice system, and you can argue other cases where there's anecdotal evidence, but a case like this, he'll get the full Monty of court system bullshit to keep him from getting executed. And every time something like that happens, when justice isn't served, you murder the entire citizenry a little bit. Every time stuff like that happens, you murder your entire citizenry by denying justice a little bit. There's no debate over that. And the thing is, there's no accountability. No one's held to account, serious account. He should be quick trial, and his execution should be televised. In a sane society, they would televise it. And kids old enough of age of accountability should have to watch it. And bring back public executions. I'll end it.
Yeah, and I think someone said that he was an immigrant. I think his name sounds pretty homegrown to me. Brown Jr. It just, to me, it looks like 13% of the crime, 13% of the population committing 51% of the murders. That black fatigue thing that we've always known, and like I said on the day this happened, it's horrible that a refugee can leave a war zone and they're at more danger in our cities in America because of the black murder rate. I mean, it's pretty nation ruining the path that we're on. But I think Harrison has hand up next. Jump in there, Harrison.
Right on. Good to see you, Rush. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all well. I wanted to comment quickly on the person the illegal who murdered the 19-year-old. That is local. These, like we see with Mamdani.
Is he illegal?
I believe. Not the 23-year-old. No, the Carlos. He's a junior black. That was so funny. But yeah, no. Yeah, it was the other case of the 19-year-old where this dude got off because DeCarlos, the one that murdered the 23-year-old, they got him, I think, like an hour after. But yeah, I mean, who knows what's gonna happen with that? Wouldn't surprise me if they do some some messed up, let him go type of thing. But with the other one in Maryland, to me, when I see local governments, I see like this is when people need to be radicalized to become their local government, as to hold these people accountable. Because like Overwatch said, public executions are a deterrent. We didn't have this in our society. Our society operated a lot differently. We had the milkman, right? And we also had public executions. Before that, we still had capital punishment, though. It was much more of a commonality. We had psych wards. It operated completely differently. And now, these local politicians don't have checks and balances from the local people who are supposed to be holding them accountable. This goes up to the state level, of course, but as far as the county level goes, these people in Maryland getting away with, just horrendous. Think about the precedent that sets to all these other illegals saying, you can get away with 10 years, good behavior for murdering this 19-year-old. Yeah, fine, Like, we had the opposite precedent, and it's about time that we, certainly at the local level, start to demand accountability, and not allow these, even if the people in power are deciding to be lenient, to protest against that, to demand justice. And like the general and everyone else pretty much agrees, it's probably not going to be solved peacefully, so we got to prepare for that. I'll land today.
Yeah, thanks, Harrison. I didn't really know too much about that case. And it's looking like it was a Maryland man, though. That's what all the news cases say. It says Maryland man charged with killing. But his name is Hernandez, or Martinez, and he is from Guatemala and here illegally. But I guess that makes him a Maryland man. That's crazy, the way the news is pushing the same propaganda here in America that they did over in Europe. As far as the way they label people, but this was a black female killed by this guy. You've seen the black community spin up in Chicago. The black community is very vocal and violent, and if they could come out and protest, it would, especially in Maryland and Baltimore, it would be pretty effective. So where's the black community here, and why are they standing up for one of their fallen people? So it's what makes you think this guy's only going to get 10 years?
It's kind of hyperbole, right? But it's more just the fact that someone who just murdered someone's even out on bail is just absolutely asinine and ludicrous, Like, it's such a...
Oh, they let him out.
I believe so.
And he's from a foreign country.
And it's just like, just complete backwards clown world, fucking bread and circus. And that's the thing, right? People are now being confronted, right? They're picking up their Buffalo Wild Wings and watching their NFL, and then, what's my neighbor just got like murdered? Like, what? So at the very least, it sucks, but I really hope that it's lighting a fire under people's ass to start holding people accountable so this shit doesn't fucking happen anymore. Excuse my French.
Yeah, I couldn't find if that guy was released in bail, but yeah, that's be really interesting to hear. Whittle, good morning, buddy. I really appreciate you helping run the marathon space yesterday.
Yeah, that was a long one. That was a real long one. I really do appreciate you guys even having me up for that. It was much needed distraction from all the stuff I've been dealing with. To the point of what we've been talking about here, the daycare worker we talked about, I think the other day, who beat she said another child did it at first, but then they found out it was her, beat the 1-year-old kid. She actually was just released on bond too. $44,000 bond. The Chief Magistrate Judge Anne Marie Rose Emmons. It's down in the Purple Pill. And another thing, I watched the interview with the dad, where he basically,
even the comment sections were saying everything looks scripted. So it's down in the pill. I am getting on the road now, so I'm gonna drop back down. But I'll come back up once I get to work and get situated and away from all the supervisors and that. But look, down in the pill. That was the lady. It was a black lady who like beat the shit out of a 1-year-old on his first day of school ever. And that poor kid's probably going to be traumatized for life and terrified of black people. But no, it's down the pill, and I'll leave it there. Thank you, guys.
Perfect. Really appreciate all the great news this morning, guys, and good to see everybody up here. David, I think it's your first time to this space. Did you want to jump in there?
Yes, sir. Thank you guys so much for having me, and I hope everybody's having a blessed morning and a blessed day. One thing I can speak on, being a deputized sheriff in the state of California in a very, very rural, poor county with a population of about 14,000, we somehow out of nowhere got funding when you were talking about what it costs to house an inmate, and you're throwing that numbers around $500,000. It's pretty accurate, because we got about $26 million to build a jail for a county of 14,000 people, which is absolutely absurd. And that did not come out of nowhere. Like, they are corrupting that state and the good parts of that state with very good people in it, just with absolute bullshit. And we have our quote-unquote elected sheriff is a retired CHP officer from the Northern California division. He's not one of those people. It's just asinine and absolutely terrifying the way that those elected positions, whether it's from law enforcement, which is what I can speak on, or if it's judiciary, which it's just crazy and sad.
Yeah, well, welcome to the space. Appreciate your helping serve with the government. I mean, it's important to be involved, especially at your local level. I mean, because if anyone's going to change this, anyone's going to save this system, it has to be us, the people. We have to wake up the people, but being involved locally is the first and most important step in righting the ship of our very corrupt and misdirection government.
Yeah, 100%. I do think that the sheriffs are the most important position right now in our entire government. They are the law of the land. They're the basically the only thing standing between us and like total mayhem hell on this planet. The sheriffs are the guys who actually are gonna. They're gonna do
100%.
Weight
100%.
Weight is gonna be 100% on their shoulders, damn near. But what we advocate in here for very often, and it'd be interesting to get your take on this, is like if you have any group of guys that are together, go up to the sheriffs and let the sheriffs know, hey, if you ever need any support from the people, let us know. We got a bunch of guys here that are willing to back you and support you if you ever need anything, or if you ever need a group of guys to deputize if something really crazy goes on. Now that we're at war with cartels and there's cartels freaking everywhere, we want to back our sheriff and make sure that he has the manpower if it's necessary.
Yeah, so in this part of Northern California that I'm talking about, this is like the epicenter for illegal marijuana cultivation and whatnot. So we had a lot of cartel shit, and now it's primarily Hmong from Minnesota that are out there doing that and whatnot. It's Trinity County, if anybody is interested.
Shasta?
Yeah, just to the left of Shasta. So the Emerald Triangle, it's Humboldt, Mendocino, and Trinity County is the Emerald Triangle. And I'm talking about Trinity.
Dude, I'm from the Bay. I know Like, it's really bad, and like the policing problem of all of these illegal farms is really difficult.
Yeah, and now it's not cartel. It's all Hmong now. To be honest with you, not to sound racist or anything, but it's just 100% Hmong. Like it's.
You don't think they're affiliated with CCP cartel?
Not
No, because they're
really.
Hmong.
Yeah, the Hmong, they pretty much took over Trinity County. That's just what it is now. I mean, English is a second language in a very red county of 14,000 people. English is a second language in secondary school. So it's crazy.
If I'm not mistaken as well, like that part of Northern California is looking at secession. A lot of those counties. I mean,
State of Jefferson. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's completely blood red. I mean, it's a completely different lifestyle.
And due to redistricting, they will now, the entire North State will now be represented.
Marin?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Oh my gosh, dude! You guys gotta secede, and then I'll come up there.
Thankfully, I was able to retire, so I moved to Oregon, but I'm still active and deputized up here in Oregon. But yeah, this weighs very hard on my heart. It's because like California is not a bad state, and it's much closer, and there's so many more people that have beliefs like that, just like Oregon does. But it's just these cities that just fuck everything up.
That's why you gotta take our cities back.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean that one. You guys are on that one. I mean, if you need a specialist with swift water rescue or high elevation snow recovery, I got your back. But the cities, no, I won't step foot in those. I'm worried one of those corrupt judges is gonna throw me in jail forever for standing my ground.
Well, that's the problem with the system, and that's the part where the people need to stand up and say we don't have justice in this country anymore. We need to have a change, and if they can't do it through voting, then that's the 2A option, guys. If they're going to impose tyranny on the American people, the American people to stand up and say, nope, we're not doing it, and we're going to arrest you for treason, and we're going to prosecute you. So that's kind of the way it's leaning in that direction, because we have, 1/3 of our federal district court judges are foreign-born. They're not American.
Yeah, don't we have a Sparkle, or there's a judge named Sparkle or something like that?
I don't know, there's probably a judge that you can't even pronounce their damn name. If you say their damn name, your furniture will start floating.
I know in San Francisco, they for example, they got that one Chinese woman that, I don't even think she spoke English. It's a complete shit show. The representation of these blood red counties, it's like you said, it's a completely different way of life. They're completely different people, and it's sad because a lot of agriculture comes from there as well, and they're just
America's breadbasket
yes.
is the San Joaquin Valley.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's some of the most fertile land in the world, and these people are just, these farmers, these poor farmers, my heart aches for them. They're just completely screwed by their governments, and particularly their local governments that sell them out as well to big ag.
Yeah. If you go outside of San Francisco or LA, you might as well be in fucking Kentucky. I mean, that's the mindset of the majority of California for some shit. But
what are all these towel heads doing in my 7-Eleven?
Pretty much. Yeah.
No, that's true. My sister lives out there, and that's exactly how it is. Most of California is red. It's just the major cities that have all the voting power. They're the ones controlling everything, and that's why I said we got to take our cities back one way or the other. Otherwise, we're toast.
And now with the whole census stuff, I mean, they're using to, we know this, right? They shipped a bunch of people in to inflate their numbers, so that way the Electoral College, how many ever, based off of population size, they have a bigger vote, bigger say. And it's like, this is just insane, the fact that people are allowing this to even be remotely legitimate. It's just crazy.
Exactly. Yep. The fact that it's allowed and people will pass it off that it's just okay is mind-boggling.
Yes, I want this terrorist to come in and vote for my for my neighborhood real quick. Like,
not even terrorist, illegal.
And I'm just like, in an extreme example, right? I mean, we know many active terrorists have come in, cartels, and even if it's hyperbole, right? Like, here, I want this foreign person for some arbitrary reason. I can now label them as an American because they desire.
Every single illegal is a terrorist, hands down. At this point, they're terrorists. They're coming in with the intent to do harm to our people. Every single one of them, period. I don't care what anyone says. Every single illegal that comes into our country, they're coming with bad intentions. You don't come into a country illegally if you have good intentions, okay? You break the law to get into the country, you're not going to do anything productive when you're in the country, period, full stop. Every single illegal in this country is a terrorist, and that's a fact. They've all committed federal crimes by coming in illegally. It is a federal offense to come into the United States illegally, and they're not productive. They can't ever become citizens. You can't have a felony and then become a citizen. It's impossible. So, and now they want them to vote. Like, even all the rallies that you see on the left, they're all artificially inflated. None of it is real. They're all being paid to be there by these NGOs using our tax dollars. Like, it's the most corrupt thing that we've ever had in America. America's never been this corrupt, ever. There's never been a Western nation that has been more corrupt than what we're looking at right now. I mean, we didn't vote for Joe Biden. He stole the election, and then he flooded us with 30 million illegals. We didn't vote for that. That's an act of war. Like, Joe Biden is a terrorist. He is a terrorist. To steal an election and invade our country, that is terrorism. That is tyranny. Like, I don't understand how people can't see that. Like, you steal an election and then you invade the country with a bunch of militants. It's unacceptable. This is terrorism. At every single level, it's terrorism.
Yes.
And then you got guys like Rand Paul sitting up there saying, you bombed that boat. How do you know that they were drug cartels? It's like, shut the fuck up, Rand Paul, you goddamn retard. These people have killed 500,000 to 1 million Americans with their fentanyl drug war on us, and you're sitting here worried about a terrorist. Like, are you kidding me? Like, where was your voice when they were killing all the Americans? They've killed more Americans in the last 8 years than all the wars combined since the Civil War. Like, that's how insane this is and out of control. But you got retards up there saying, have you ever read To Kill a Mockingbird? Like, what are you talking about, To Kill a Mockingbird? Have you ever opened your eyes to kill an American? Because that's what they've been doing. And you're talking about to kill a bird? That's your source? Like, they're killing Americans to the tune of million plus people, and you're worried about fucking Kill a Mockingbird. Shut the hell up, Rand Paul, you retard. Like, what is going on here? They're killing Americans. When people do that, you go in there and you wipe them all out. It's called war. We've been at war with these people. They've been at war with us for a long time. Biden assisted them. Like, what do you think the Ukraine war is all about? They're sending all of our military-grade weapons to the Ukraine. They're turning around on the black market and funneling all back into the hands of the drug cartels. And they're killing Americans. And Rand Paul's up there worried about a fucking little dinghy boat that got bombed. Like, you can't make this.
Yeah, that's absolute fucking bullshit. Like, I cannot believe, like, I had a lot of faith in that guy, and it's just out the fucking window.
Well, it just shows how cooked. I mean, who do we have that's going to represent the American people? Like, we've spent the last 25 years going to war in the freaking sandbox that didn't do jack shit for us other than get us totally invaded with all the sand people. And
yeah, I was there 2006 to 2011, 0311 Infantry Marine.
Yeah, and now we're actually fighting a war for the American people, of people actually killing Americans on U.S. soil, and they're freaked out. They're like, oh, wait, what? How dare we bomb these people? What are you talking about? We need to bomb the shit out into oblivion. That's the only war that matters. They've invaded our country. The Venezuela dumped their entire prison population into the United States. Who the F is in prison in Venezuela? All the drug cartels. That's who. All the people we have listed as terrorists. That's who. They just dumped 3 million of them into the United States. A bunch of terrorists, drug cartels from Venezuela. And this guy's worried about, oh, we bombed the dinghy with all their drugs in it. How do we know? Like, shut the hell up, man. Like, come back to reality. Americans are getting killed and you're worried about a freaking drug cartel boat. Like, it's just so insane. It's you can't make this stuff up. Like, oh, we're going to go to war? Yeah, a real war that actually benefits America, and start killing these assholes that have been killing Americans. Like the sandbox people, what did they kill in 9/11? 2,300 people? These cartels have killed over 1 million Americans. And then they dumped their entire army into America. 3 million of them. And you don't want to go to war with them? You just want to play kumbaya? That's not going to happen. These people are here to kill us. They're here to wage war. Like, where? These people lost their damn mind. We have
Wasn't he tripping
in America? Literally zero representation. Brock, go ahead. You had your hand up.
Completely agree. And I was just going to ask David while he's here. You mentioned the Hmongs who are trafficking drugs out in California and in Trinity County.
Yes, sir.
I had previously talked about the Hmongs in Minnesota, where I'm from, and they all congregated to St. Paul. What a problem they've become, and they become part of the judiciary and law enforcement out in Minnesota. And there's a lot of
yes, sir.
in the Hmong community.
I'm from Minnetonka, so I can speak on this in great depth.
Yeah. No, I just want to learn more about how the Hmongs are trafficking drugs out there. And so just for everybody's understanding, the Hmong people are from Cambodia and Laos.
Yes, they're
China, yes.
They're nomadic people. They don't technically have a country.
They're like
Go on and talk about it, yeah.
But yes, I can speak about the Hmongs in very extreme depth, and please send me a message or anything you want, and we can talk outside of this space or whatever information you want. But I have an absurd amount of information on that. So what's your...
Just briefly right now, yeah.
Sure.
Just briefly right now, just describe the problem with the Hmongs out there trafficking drugs.
Laws don't apply to them. So they are... you can't prosecute them. You can't... how they protect their properties, how they do everything. So when they go to set up a grow or whatever, it's set through something with a little bit of money down and then high percentage, etc. And it initially started in Siskiyou County because the property was cheaper, but when the prices were up, they moved into Trinity. They couldn't get into Humboldt or Mendo. All of that goes there, and then there was a big shift to Oklahoma because that was easier for them to get bullshit permits, and that's closer, you know, basically in the center of the country to traffic. But yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going to go off on a tangent if I don't have a focus on it because I'm just like so animated about this. So could you ask me a direct question of?
No, that's good. That answered it. Just that Hmongs are really out there participating in this drug trafficking.
Have you ever Googled Siskiyou County Hmong?
I'll Google it right now.
Please do. And St. Paul, way to go, dude. We got our big game against the Bears today.
Yeah, but sports don't really matter.
Well, I still like the Vikings.
General, if I may, was Rand Paul making the argument about what was it, due process for these cartels? Like, I saw him tripping over what JD Vance said, and I'm like, dude, you just arguing against addressing the cartels is just such an L, like such a flop.
Yeah, that's the problem with the libertarian mindset. Is, they really don't want to take action in any way, in my opinion. I briefly went through that libertarian mindset. I'm like, well, wait, we don't stand for anything. And they're like, yeah, that's the point. I'm like, that's really not the point of civilization or how you can push a civilization in the right direction. And you're seeing that with him. I mean, it was obviously, they initially said they were running drugs, and then they said they think they were running illegal immigrants. Either way, they're invading our country with drugs or illegals, the bioweapon or the drug. And we have to stop this invasion. And I hold no qualms of blowing the boat out of the water. I mean, I think it's because we're about to go to war with them anyways. But I can't believe we allowed our warships to be buzzed by those Venezuelan F-15s. It'll be curious to see if they allow that to happen again. I mean, because those battleships have defense systems on them where they could have easily shot those aircraft out of the air. And I'm surprised they allowed them to do that close to a fly. But
they're waiting for them to take a shot. That's what we're hoping for. They're putting them out there as bait, and they're waiting for one of these ships to take fire, just like what happened in Yemen. As soon as they fire, it's on. So I think the military is kind of baiting them into a position where they'll actually get the balls to take a shot at our Navy out there, and then just go full nuclear on their ass. That will give them the optics to go and do whatever the hell they need to do to wipe out every single one of these people. But it's dangerous for the guys on the ship. You know, all hands on deck. If they're gonna allow these ships or these planes to do that and get that close, you know, if they're that close and they open fire on the ship, you know, I don't know if the systems on the ship can even do anything.
Pretty dangerous times that we're in. But yeah, Harrison.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on that really quickly. I believe that maybe I'm cutting out.
There you are. Good. There you go.
Okay. All right, let's see if this works now. So,
yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, so basically in Venezuela, I know that they were running a lot of operations with China, in particular, off the coast of Florida.
to basically spy on communications. And I know that they had a lot of Navy installations, but for sure that they did a lot of communications monitoring through Florida, 100% on that.
By the way, I put a post up there in the Jumbotron. I made the post this morning, and it's about that daycare worker who. Let me edit this real quick. Just to edit. The black daycare worker. Since they always write white. Yeah, so let me throw this one up there. It's edited. And this is exactly what we've been exposing it with the CRS. All right, here we go. I'll throw it up there. If this goes in. Okay, here we go. So the CRS has been involved with this case. So when all these people, whenever we bring up these cases about these things happening, and we bring up like Harmeet Dillon, everyone goes like, "Oh, it's not a federal case. DOJ has nothing to do with it." That's BS. The DOJ is all over it. The DOJ has a propaganda arm called the CRS, and they're involved with all of these cases. And so whenever they say, "Oh, it's not a federal case," why is the DOJ involved? Well, because they send their propaganda wing the CRS. And this is how the DOJ is literally connected to every single case, which even they're not supposed to be. So the DOJ is not supposed to be involved in all the local cases, but they are through the CRS. And they've been going to Harmeet Dillon herself exposed on Tucker Carlson that they've been going to all the local jurisdictions and forcing the local the local police and the local judges to give less sentences to blacks and to throw the book at whites. So the DOJ has been involved in just about every single case in the United States across the board for this for a long time. So when we point out the DOJ and retarded people say, "Oh, the DOJ is not involved with that. This is a local case. That's not a federal case." Yeah, the DOJ is still involved because they're threatening the local jurisdictions with the hammer of the DOJ if they don't do the work of the DOJ or the will of the DOJ. And then they send the CRS, this propaganda wing, to go in there and go after the father, usually. And they try to coerce the father into going after, they coerce the fathers into saying stupid shit like, "Oh, I forgive the person," and then they come in and say, "Oh, well, the family forgives them, so we're just going to give them a light sentence of 2 months instead of throwing the book at them or whatever, or we'll just give them time served or put them on house arrest or whatever, like some ridiculous nonsense." So again, the CRS has to be dismantled, and that's the post talking about the CRS, because nobody else is even mentioning the CRS. Nobody even knows what it is hardly, and it's the largest propaganda wing with the hammer of the DOJ backing it, which is 1,000 times worse than Project Mockingbird that everyone is chimping out about 24/7. This affects your day to day. Project Mockingbird doesn't affect your local precinct. It doesn't affect the local judges. It doesn't affect any of that. The DOJ and their propaganda wing, the CRS, affects you directly, and it releases criminals right back into your, into your neighborhoods, in your city. It's a big problem. Oh, David, you had your hand up. Go ahead, jump in there.
Yeah, so the one thing, and I didn't mean to put a thumbs down on what you were saying. I just clicked the wrong button there. That wasn't going against that, my bad. But so I do like search and rescue. That's why I'm a deputized sheriff. And the main thing I do with them is because I'm a pilot, and like I'm very well versed in that. And if you guys think for 1 second that an American-made F-16 can take off anywhere in this country when it's like Venezuela buzzing those boats, that we don't know what it's doing without that payload, without that flight computer like programmed down to a T to make that plane fly, you are very mistaken. Like we let them get that close because it's just a narrative. I mean, this is just building it up because we're all stupid.
Overwatch, go ahead.
Yeah, you stole what I was going to bring up, General. I was earlier when we were talking about those cases, and I hit Harmeet Dillon up twice on it already this morning, not related to that, but I wonder what the specific involvement on each of those cases you and Rush brought up that are in the news, and how we can get any kind of paper trail or documentation of what their involvement is, or if there is even any. Do they just send a couple of lawyers down to the local sheriff's department and have a verbal meeting, or I wonder how that goes down? And because they're involved in all those cases, every damn one of them. So, and I was wondering if the sheriff folks or people that were involved with that have had any personal intimidation tactics or experience that they could disclose, or if they've had any interaction with these CRS folks where they were working a case or something, or suddenly the chill came down or anything like that. I'll land it.
Well, the most information I got on that was Harmeet Dillon's interview with Tucker Carlson, and she explains in that interview how the DOJ has gone into local police departments and also local, like the local judiciary, and enforce them. And with the hammer of the DOJ, if you don't do this, then we're going to be on your ass. She doesn't say exactly how they do it, but she said they have been doing it. So she openly admitted that the DOJ has been doing this.
Well, maybe the answer is that the sheriffs or the PD's got to start recording these people coming in or something to get, just prove that they're doing it. I'm sure there's good sheriffs out there, but, when they come in and say, hey, you're going to run this narrative, and I call them the federal narrative police. That's what I've nicknamed them, the federal narrative police. And they come in and they say, hey, if you don't play ball, we're going to pull your federal funding or find a violation to pull your funding, or, and that's probably millions of dollars, be devastating their department. So I don't know how to help the good sheriffs or good PDs.
You're hopefully talking to one right now.
Yeah. So go ahead. What can we do to help our good police officers or police departments and sheriffs that are being subject to this federal level of intimidation?
I think, as everybody else has said here, it's at a local level, but we are good people still in law enforcement. We're not all bad.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's why, like, the only good, like I said, the sheriffs mainly are the ones that if you want to back the blue, quote unquote, back the blue, you got to back the sheriffs. Your local sheriff is the one who actually is the law of the land. And they're the ones who actually can say no to any of these federal agents or anyone that wants to come in and do something dirty. The sheriffs are the ones there. But the problem for the sheriffs, as far as I'm aware, is that they don't always have full backing. They don't have, they don't always have enough men to say no to feds if they try to come in there. So that's why we advocate for, like, if you guys have groups of guys or active clubs or active groups or, just neighborhood watches, anything like that, get with your local sheriffs and let them know, like, if anything.
I'm gonna speak out of term on this one. I don't mean to interrupt you, but be very fucking careful with how you handle that and what groups you associate yourself with, because those are watched very closely. So be very careful.
Well, the whole idea of that is for the sheriff to actually be the one heading up anything like that. So if the sheriff is the head and they're the ones that can call on your neighborhood watch if something is problematic or they need more hands on deck, they can, they have a group of people in the community that they can call on, like say, hey, there's an issue here. We need more support. We need more men on the ground. I know there was one case where the feds came in and raided one sheriff's office and things like that. It's unconstitutional for them to do that. But if you have enough hands on deck, you can prevent that kind of thing from happening, because we know how corrupt some of these entities are that try to come in and do some bad things. So again, like if you have your neighborhood watch, if you got 50 guys, that you can let the sheriff know, hey, we're upstanding good citizens. We want to protect our neighborhoods and our city. If anything ever happens where you need more hands on deck, you let us know, and we'll be right there with you, because the sheriff is able to deputize a lot of people if need be. So if something goes off, for example, like David in the area you were talking about, there where they have these, all these drug lords coming in there, if something happens, they're gonna need a lot of men who can help them at least to cool things off if something goes sideways.
Correct. So we had one situation like that. This was in Higham Palm, so very, very rural, and there was basically a drug deal that did not go well. Neighbors called 911. 911 dispatch went back to them, and they said, check in on your neighbors. Neighbors got their throats slit. It was an elderly couple, and one of them survived, and it's like devastating to the county financially. So yeah, again, just be very, very careful with that stuff.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, because there are, and it depends on where you live, of course. If you live in a big city or whatever, that's a different story. But, like out in rural areas and like farm town stuff, the sheriff doesn't have a whole lot of guys on hand. But if all the farm boys let them know, like, hey, if there's ever a problem, let us know. This is our community. And for example,
correct. Yes, 100%. We still to this day do not. We still to this day do not have 24-hour rolling deputies. By the way.
Yeah. So, but this is the point. Like, if those nut job, basically cartels or whatever, these drug lords over there, if they start getting out of hand, he can call up the farm boys and say, hey, we need you now. There's something going on, and the sheriff can deputize these guys even to help out if something gets a little bit hairy over there. So, I mean, when you live in rural areas, especially, it's important to know your sheriff and let him know that you have his back. And if he ever needs anything, he can give you guys a call, and you can show up with 20 or 50 guys to help him out. He can deputize you and, make sure that things don't go wrong for the whole community. And that, because when you have a show of force like that, to a group of people that are starting to get out of hand. Even a show of force is enough in most cases to shut that kind of stuff down. That's all I'm saying. So it's very important to be involved with your local sheriff and let them know these kind of things. We're not talking about crazy ass people doing, stupid stuff. We're talking about real law-abiding citizens that want to make sure that their communities are safe. Your local business owners and, even lawyers, engineers, these guys, your average everyday American that just wants to make sure their community is safe, but they don't always have the backing of, like a police force. But if you work with your local sheriff, he can actually head up that group of guys and deputize them and make sure if something happens, then he actually has the support of the people. And that there have been many cases where the sheriffs just don't have enough men to even stand against some of these things. It's kind of almost like being a volunteer firefighter. If you get the call, you can show up and help them out. It's important to be that. That's what it is. That's what it means to be an American. Like that's how the founding fathers of this country set it up. So that if something goes in that direction, you can at least turn to your local sheriff and have coverage, because the sheriff is the law of the land. And if he deputizes you guys and you have a good group of guys now there standing, 20, 50 guys, that's enough to stifle a lot of crime. And if even from like a federal level, if the feds come in trying to do something goofy or crazy, and he has a group of guys that he can rely on, if they're trying to do something tyrannical, you can at least have the people there standing behind the sheriff when the sheriff tells them, no, you're not coming in here. You're not going to do this. This is unconstitutional. You're violating our rights. We don't want you here. Take a hike. There's a lot of reasons to be with your local sheriff. And I'm talking about your normal, everyday citizen. I'm not talking about some like crazy ass, nutty groups that go around and do dumb shit. We're talking about your normal, everyday American patriot that just wants to make sure their neighborhoods are safe. And again, we're going to war with the drug cartels, and there's over 3 million of these terrorists in the United States right now. So it's important to stick around. And a lot of those guys are out in rural areas working on these marijuana farms and all this kind of stuff. They're even in the rural areas. So you never know when the time will come when your sheriff's going to need something like that, and you got to back the sheriff. Back your sheriff. It's the most important person you can back in the entire government.
That's an awesome way to say that. And if anybody here in this conversation, I can 100% share this with you, but we don't care about the drugs. We care about human trafficking now, and that gets federal funding. And that's our big thing, is like, the big cartel grows that come in here. It doesn't matter if it's the Hmongs or the Bulgarians or the East Europeans, et cetera, et cetera. It's about indentured servitude, and then that way we get federal funding, and then we can run the Blackhawks and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, that's why the biggest issue that's facing our nation is immigration. Illegal immigration, asylum seekers, all of these people that flooded our nation and completely invaded us at this point. I mean, they're kind of all our enemies, whether it's the Hmong Chinese or the Venezuelan cartels or the Mexican cartels. It all ties back to the same thing. We're being invaded, and our nation is just standing by why we continue to get invaded. Just
because people are fucking dumb. But yes, you 100%.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
that's what this space is about, is waking up. And David, if you could please stop jumping in there. We typically go straight to hands here. Everyone wants to speak and jump in, but we all kind of have a little bit of try to have a little bit of decorum. But another shooting that happened over the weekend, 21-year-old intern, Eric Jafim, Eric, I can't say his last name. A young American kid trying to serve his country was shot and killed in D.C. And they released the mugshot of the shooter. I bet you can't guess who the DC murderer was of this young white male. It's another 18-year-old black male. You killed this guy, and I mean that's I guess why DC, crime in DC still seems to be an issue, even with the National Guard deployed there. It's pretty crazy stuff that we're seeing. Overwatch, jump back in there, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, the sheriff's comments, hey, be really careful. Well, that's part of the, they started infiltrating the quote unquote militia groups and framing them back in the 90s under Clinton. That was a big push. And in my opinion, a lot of that was to take power away from the sheriff, and to General's point, a show of force does work. Look at what happened at the Bundy Ranch. Not a shot was fired. The feds backed down because it would have been too big of a deal, too much of a bloody mess. So that was the best outcome for that. So show of force without a shot being fired has been proven and it does work. But we know the FBI is corrupt. We know the federal government with the CRS and stuff is doing this crap and pressuring these sheriffs. And, even the Waco sheriff, on tape said, we could have just picked him up coming out of the grocery store. David Koresh, he's like, he went to the grocery store every week, and we didn't need all this, but he let him in. So I think all that was also a move to steal the authority and power and make the sheriffs weak and demonize any kind of militia whatsoever that was supporting the sheriff. So, yeah, that's why we have to be careful, because we have corrupt FBI and corrupt feds that want to demonize and put people in prison for bullshit. But I think there's a way to do it.
I mean, that's the whole thing. Is most of the militias in the history of the United States, they were all headed up by the sheriff. That's how a militia is supposed to operate. A militia is supposed to operate by being headed up by the sheriff, because the sheriff is the law of the land, right? And if the sheriff is heading the militia, there's not really much the FBI or anyone else can do about it. So, and it's important. I mean, you don't have to call whatever. I mean, people get freaked out and the militia. It's not, you're talking about average everyday people. It's literally your freaking neighborhood watch. That's what it is. Your neighborhood watch. These guys that want to protect their neighborhoods, they want to protect their city, and they need to back the sheriff. Let the sheriff head up this thing. Don't try to go off on your own and do something stupid. Be with your sheriff. Let your sheriff head up. Let your sheriff be in control of that. Let your sheriff deputize the people if necessary, and then handle business. But you have to do it in a legal way, and you gotta, when you do it, if you have all the men that are behind the sheriff, then there's nothing that the feds or anyone else can do coming in there, because now the sheriff has an army behind him, and whatever, it doesn't have to be a mass. It can be 20 guys. It can be 50 guys. All the guys in town that he knows, that he trusts, especially in a small town. Everyone knows everybody. Your sheriff. A lot of people grew up with him. They know who the good people are. They know who the people are they can rely on. It's not in a small town. It's not like a big city where you don't know who the hell anybody is. But especially if you are in a small town, it's super important to back your sheriff and let him know with a group of people that if something happens, call us and we will be there for you. That's the most important thing. And let your sheriff head it up. Let him take control of the situation, and he's the law of the land. If he needs men, at least he knows that he has the backing of the people to go forward. And if he needs a show of force, he can call on you and he can deputize the guys and You can go that way, and it's all legal. There's nothing illegal about that. It's all within the law. It's on the books. It's not crazy. You're not out there doing something that's going to get you in trouble. So that's my point. By just backing your sheriff, if you want to back the blue, back the sheriff. The sheriff is the one you really want to back. Because even when the blue shows up, if there's problems with that, the sheriff can override that. The sheriff is the law of the land. And if the sheriff knows that he has the backing of the people and he can call on trusted individuals and upstanding citizens of the community, that's where the power is at, 100%. But Brock, you had your hand up. Go ahead, jump in there.
The Community Relations Service, people are asking how are they doing this, and I think that anyone can file proper FOIA requests to the DOJ, and I know that Twitler said, well, they'll fight it, yada, 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 you will never get any information, and while that may be true, you can still appeal those and sue the DOJ to compel the production of those documents. And I would speculate if they are coordinating with these local jurisdictions, they're doing it through electronic communication. So probably email or something, maybe some phone calls, but it's probably all remote. It's not like they're sending DOJ lawyers out there. Again, I'm speculating. I don't know. But I just wanted to add that. But it's very interesting. I'm reading some articles online about it. So we'll see. I'll yield right there.
I think they're sending lawyers, Brock. But yeah, Twiddle, I don't know if you have any more information on that. He was saying that they're immune to FOIA requests. I don't know where we get that. I've never seen a FOIA request involving the CRS, nor did I really know who the CRS was prior to the Austin Metcalf case. But MAGA, True MAGA, good to see you, buddy. Jump on in there.
All right, man. Good morning. Any department, an official department that goes against the American people, I think any official department, Trump is actually watching them really close right now and playing the art of war with them. He's going to set them all up. He's not going to let that happen, I'm hoping. The scary thing about the auto loan delinquency right now, it's higher than 2008. Both in subprime and prime. I mean, the chart is higher than 2008 on both of them right now, in both categories. That's terrible. There's one company, Hyundai, 500 illegals were hired by this company, right? And it's just like one company, a globalist freaking organization, doesn't hire any Americans, right? I mean, one factory. This is a Hyundai factory, 500 illegals. And Congress allowed that to happen, okay? So that just doesn't happen by chance. One good thing about Trump, he's starting to fine people per day, $1,000 per day for being here past your deportation orders. So one guy's like up to $250,000 right now. Another guy's up to $44,000. Like we're ever going to collect it, buddy. So that's one thing that's happening there. Yeah, it's just... I think that's about it, but yeah, these workers, how can they, who sold that land to the Hmongs up there? I mean, how could they just buy that land? And I don't see how that could even happen. Thank you.
Well, they have a lot of money because they're in the drug business. You know, those marijuana farms, they make a lot of money. There's a lot of people who want to smoke pot all the time, all day long. So, you know, it's not hard when you have that kind of money to go in there and buy things up. And in some cases, they don't even have to buy the land; they can lease it. There's a lot of people who own land and aren't interested in selling it, but they will lease the land to farmers. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways that they can do it. Yeah, David, if you want to talk about it, go ahead.
It's 50% down, 12% interest, no capital returns, or you're not paying anything down. That's how it happens.
Yeah, and one other point to what Truth MAGA just said, The housing market is in shambles right now too. We have 500,000 more home sellers than we do buyers. It's the largest gap in American history. And we have 11 million home buyers that are in default on their properties. So the auto market is disaster. The home market is disaster. It's all going to crash down. And this is what happens when you give loans to a bunch of illegals in the country.